Hi there. My name is April. I am a 57-year-old widow living here on the East Coast of the United States. I am currently secretly living in the back storage room of my brand new art gallery. I am bathing in essentially a bucket. I made myself a shower out of a hula hoop, a shower curtain, and a Rubbermaid bucket that I was storing my last year's Christmas ornaments in. So I made myself a little shower. I have no kitchen. I'm sleeping on a mattress that is beside boxes of inventory and beside the brooms and the mops and my 10-foot ladder. And no one in my community knows any of this. They know the old me. I used to have two businesses in a neighboring resort town that were grossing $1 million each a year. And my community knows me as that person. They don't know that I have no money, that I have lost every single thing. They don't know that I had to sell my car to pay my last month's rent at the previous place. They don't know that sometimes my stomach growls because I don't have money for groceries. They have no idea. I'm throwing parties in my gallery and all these wonderful people that have gorgeous homes. A lot of people that have moved here to my hometown on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay. Many people have moved here from Washington, D.C. and New York City and Philadelphia, and they've bought their summer homes here or second homes. And I'm throwing these shindigs in my art gallery, secretly living in the back room, showering in a bucket. And I feel like I'm about to burst because I have nobody to share this craziness with. I'm too embarrassed to tell even my close friends. I think a few are catching on because I'm always here, like in the morning, late at night. I'm always here in the store, and my car is always outside, very close in proximity to the gallery. But it's embarrassing. It's humiliating that I am 57 years old and I have nothing to my name, nothing to show for 40 years of the most incredibly hard work. I am a workaholic, and I've worked many 80-hour weeks for years on end building businesses, and I have nothing to show for it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my old life and a little bit about my new life and the fact that I am pretty happy. Like, I find great joy in so many things now that I am stripped down to nothingness. Like, it's just me. At the core of everything, it's just me. Who am I now without any material possessions? And I'm also a widow. So who am I now without a husband, without a man in my life? That's why I named my channel Midlife, the meaning of it all. Holy smokes. I wish you could see my leg. I wish you could see my leg. I just gave myself the craziest goosebumps. But it's true. I'm stripped down to nothing. I have nothing at all except for this like burning desire to just love people and do good things in the community, interact more deeply with nature. And I realized that money's not everything. And the other reason that I am incredibly motivated and really centered and very happy with nothing is because I have, for the past 10 years, since I lost my husband, I have received so many signs and messages from him that there is, without a doubt, absolutely no question whatsoever, that we live on. After our physical body dies, our spirit lives on, and we are right there with our loved ones. And it's not just a dragonfly landing on my leg or a white feather in my path. These are insane stories of people coming to me from all over, not just my town, but the East Coast and from the world. People have interacted with me to tell me things that only my husband and I would know. And it's mind-blowing, the things that happen. So I've got so much juicy stuff to share with you all. And I know that I can bring so many people great peace, and I can make you laugh, like in the midst of the shit show. Like, I can make you laugh and I can make you feel good. And some of my stories will even, I know they'll make you cry. They'll make you appreciate life. They'll make you love your neighbors more. I have so much I need to share, and I'm so happy that you're here for it. This is my very first video, so I know there's a huge chance that nobody will watch this right away, but that's okay because I'm going to keep pumping videos out. And just because I want to reach you all, I want to make people feel better. And I want you to share your stories of your hardships and anything that you're going through so that we can build this community of support and we can cheer each other on and we can remind each other what is truly important and what the hell it all means. What does it mean? What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be middle age in our 50s, our 60s, our 70s? What does it mean? I'm going to give you a little background about my old life. I'm going to cut this off because I'm never going to be able to figure out how to upload a 6-minute video. I've already messed up. I don't know what I'm doing, but okay, I'll just be really quick about my old life. And I'm going to try and keep this in just a little 2-minute snippet instead of a 6-minute video because I don't know how to upload. And I really am going to have a hard time editing. My internet's slow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that whole 6 minutes uploaded where I just rambled. So let me be quick here. I'm 57, like I said. I opened my first art gallery when I was 27 years old, and I did that in a beautiful resort town in Maryland. They call it the Hamptons of the Chesapeake. It's a very upscale Victorian village. My husband and I, right before we opened our gallery, were sales managers at IKEA, and we really enjoyed the retail world. And on weekends, we would go to art shows and we would buy fine craft objects for our home. We would buy art and utilitarian objects like wine goblets and salad tongs made out of wood and just a lot of fun things that were made by artists. And it was so interesting to talk to people about their processes, about how they made their work. And it was very special when we used those items in our home. So our love of the craft industry and the art world really got into our bones, and we decided that we were going to leave IKEA and open our own art gallery. And we did that in this really upscale resort town. We rented the most expensive building. We were just in our late 20s. Actually, my husband was 26. I was 27. And we had a 9-month-old baby girl who's 30 now. And we started that business with just $15,000 that we had pulled from our IKEA 401k. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And yeah, we started our gallery, and within 10 years, we had turned it into $1 million business. And we were named one of the top 10 fine craft galleries in the entire USA by a trade publication, a national trade publication called Niche Magazine. And our little town only had a population of about 1,100 people. And the other winners in that list, the other galleries, were located in major metropolitan areas like New York City, Austin, Texas, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Isla Mirada, Florida. And there we were in our little itty bitty town in the company of these major, very important, fine craft galleries throughout the country. So we really did a great job there. And then after that, we also opened a clothing store, which is wild because I was a thrift shopper, like a Goodwill Salvation Army kind of gal. Didn't really care for fashion, didn't follow any of the trends, didn't pay attention to magazines, didn't care. But I knew there was a void for really cool clothing in this resort town. And so we opened a clothing store, and that also really grew into a beloved retail establishment in that town. And we also turned that into $1 million business. So everything was hunky-dory for almost 18 years. I'll tell you a little bit more about that life, and I'm gonna try and figure out how to stop this so that I can upload. This little section's only 3 minutes. So everything was fine and dandy in our old life, my old life in my 20s and my 30s and even my early 40s. Like I said, our gallery was doing really well. The clothing store, both of those we turned into $1 million businesses. They were grossing $1 million each a year. And our daughter was in a really nice private school. And actually her private school that she was in for elementary school cost more than what I make annually right now. Her school costs more than I make in an entire year. I was no stranger to nice restaurants, and I had plenty of money to buy wonderful groceries and organic food. And I just would pile the shopping cart up, and I didn't have to calculate in my mind what I was spending. I worked so hard and such long hours in the gallery that we would often go out to dinner almost every night at restaurants. We enjoyed wine and really wonderful food, high-end, lovely restaurants in our town. We took month-long vacations in the winter because our town's tourist schedule was very seasonal. January, February, it was a ghost town. So my husband's family lived in Florida. When my daughter was in her younger years, we would take the entire month, take her out of school and just vacation for a month. We also went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, to Ojo Caliente, massages, and stayed in these beautiful adobe at a luxury spa. It was just so incredible, such a wonderful time. We also worked with Rolls-Royce. We did a car show. Our clothing store co-sponsored a car show, a high-end Concours d'Elegance. I'm not good with French like accents, but a really high-end car show. We provided some money, seed money for that event, and a lot of the cars that were on exhibit were brought over from Europe even, and they were valued at $1 million a car. It was like a big to-do. So that was my old life. Black tie parties, nice dinners. We lived in a golf course community, daughter at the private school, members of the yacht club, nice dinners out, vacations, beautiful spacious kitchen, living room, like just everything was wonderful. But I worked really hard. I had no time for anything, no time for family, barely any time for friends. I worked every single weekend for almost 20 years, every weekend, and really no time. I donated tons and tons of money to nonprofits, but I didn't really have any time to interact with anyone or to get to know people or to get to know their struggles. Very little time to get out in nature. I was just chasing the carrot, and I wasn't even motivated by money, but I just wanted to provide a nice life for my daughter. So that was the old life. And now I'll tell you about how I got into this predicament where I'm living paycheck to paycheck and have no money, and I'm taking a bath in a bucket. So I'll just briefly tell you, 2008, the recession of 2008 was really the start of my downward spiral and where everything started to unravel. My husband and I lost our house during the recession of 2008, and then we sold our other store. He and I divorced from the stress of it all. I moved to a neighboring town, my hometown, and I opened a tiny little retail store here that was very humble, very small, not like my $1 million stores over in the other neighboring county. So I opened an itty bitty store here, and I met my second husband, the one that I lost, the one that's no longer with us in physical form. I met him about 12 years ago after I had moved to this new town and opened my new little store. He and I got married, and then we had only been married for a year, and he was pulling our Hobie catamaran through the yard, and he pulled it into overhead power lines. And I lost my husband he was electrocuted in front of me in our yard when the metal mast of our Hobie catamaran came into contact with the power lines. And then I just kind of freaked out and closed my store and gave all my money away. I volunteered at food pantries for a year. I had several meaningful relationships with homeless men. I helped get them off of the streets of my hometown and reunited with either family members, or I got them into housing. That's what I was doing after I lost my husband. So I pretty much lost all the money that I ever made in St. Michael's, and I started over. I didn't have any money to start another retail store, so I started making jewelry and setting up at outdoor craft festivals. But about 2 or 3 years ago, I experienced the worst year ever that a vendor or a craftsperson could experience as far as weather. I think I lost $20,000 or $30,000 from all of these rained out shows. Like every single big show that I had was rained out. And there was one where the 10 by 10 canopies literally flying through the air over people's heads from high winds. So I lost everything, and finally realized that I needed to maybe go somewhere else to try and get into outdoor craft festivals in Florida. So I moved 1,200 miles away to try and do the craft show circuit in Florida. That didn't work. So then I moved back to my hometown, but I had no money because I spent it all on housing and shows in Florida, the entry fees and everything. So I came back to my hometown with $0. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do? So I lived in my rental home for a couple months. Didn't have any money. I ended up having to sell my Isuzu Trooper to pay the last month's rent. And then I said, what in the heck am I going to do? So I decided I'm going to open another gallery, another retail store. But at the time that I decided to do that, the time that I decided to reach out to the landlord of this building, this beautiful 2,000 square foot, beautifully restored historic space, I only had 56 cents in my checking account. And I sat down at the table and met with him and was like, pretending like I was the old me over in St. Michael's, who was the really good business person who knew what she was doing, but I only had 56 cents in my checking account. And I will explain how I started a gallery with only 56 cents in one of my following videos. So a couple of the videos that I'm going to do after this, one is going to be how I started an art gallery with only 56 cents in my checking account. Number two, how to build a shower for under $100 if you just have a bathroom, a half bath that only has a little bathroom sink. I'll tell you how to make a shower in your bathroom. It might even be only 75 bucks. It wasn't very much. I'm going to tell you how to make a shower if you don't have one in your home or where you're staying. And then I will do another video where I'll give you a tour of the storage room where I sleep, what's going on back there, and how I hide my life from my customers and my friends who want to come in the back room to go to the bathroom. I pretend like the living room that I set up back there is a book club room or a lounge area for artists, which it also is. So I'm not really pretending, but people don't know. That's my living room. That's my bathroom where I shower and go to the bathroom and live and wash my face and brush my teeth. It's so weird to have people back in my personal space. They do not know that's my home, like in this one room back here. And I'm going to give you the tour of that. Then I'm going to tell you stories about how happy I am with nothing, you know, how I found joy and purpose and meaning and just gratification and just yummy happiness. Like having nothing. I have zero and I'm just so powered up and I'm like, I'm really optimistic and I'm joy filled and I'm happy and I love people so much and I'm so grateful for what I do have. And then I'm going to tell you lots of stories about the signs and messages that I get from my husband. This is going to be a whole crazy ride, and I'm glad you're here for it. I love you already. I can't wait for you to be my friends. I can't wait to build our little community of 40, 50, and 60, 70-year-olds who have lost everything, maybe just lost a spouse, maybe starting over, maybe made a shit ton of money back when, and now everything's different because of automation, digitization, AI, big online competition is knocking out little mom and pop retailers. Like, if anybody's suffering from the loss because of any of these things, this is going to be the spot where we're going to chit chat about it and we're going to lift each other up. And I'm so happy you're here. I know I'll probably be talking to myself for maybe a month, but I'm going to keep putting these videos out until I reach someone out there. Thank you so much for being one of those someone's. Okay? Bye.